Welterweight Grand Prix concluded tonight.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the main event overall?
I mean, I saw a really tactical fight. I think that both guys have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. It wasn't, you know, the throwdown bloodbath that the first fight was, where Roy took so much damage and so did Lima. I thought this was a fight that they learned a lot from the very first fight, and I think that showed tonight.
1-1 in the series. Do you think a trilogy's in order at some point?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing it. You know, maybe down the line, we'll see what happens.
So who's the number 1 contender? I know you said Lorenz Larkin. We spoke to Yaroslav Amosov, and he said he deserves a shot. Who is there going to be a number 1 contender fight, or is it going to be Larkin versus Lima?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be taking Larkin to Japan to fight on the 29th. On our show, and they're still working out the opponent, but he will be fighting and representing Bellator against Ryzen, so he'll be busy there. And then, you know, I think that Douglas Lima would probably like to take a couple months off, and then we'll figure it out. But I think Larkin's, you know, unless he loses in Japan, he's probably the number 1 guy in the slot.
Speaking of Japan, any word on when Koji Horiguchi's going to defend your belt?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, when he defends his belt, it's going to be here, and it'll probably be sometime in the second quarter, or actually the first quarter of next year, because. I found out the Ryzen schedule, they're not going to do a promotion until April, so he's going to fight on New Year's Eve, and then we'll keep, you know, maybe in February we'll get him to fight for us here in the U.S.
Speaking of bantamweight, he made headlines this week signing Sergio Pettis. His last fight was at flyweight. He went up to bantamweight. He struggled. I mean, what weight class is he going to fight for you guys? Bantamweight, flyweight?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have a 135-pound weight class, and I think that's what we agreed upon. You know, I'd have to confirm that with Rich and the guys, but that's what I believe.
Leandro Higo, a guy who coming off a big win. I spoke to him. He did a video, called out, said he wants the first one. He said he's taken every big fight since he's been in the organization. He says he wants an easy fight, and Sergio's that fight. He says, are you interested in that matchup?
I mean, that's something that I'm not going to commit to that fight. It's definitely something that could be on the table, but you know, there's a lot of good fights in that weight class now. So we're beefing up the 135-pound weight class, and we're going to mix it up and you know, pick the right fights when it's time.
Is there any kind of update you can give us on Josh Barnett? I know he voiced that he was frustrated that he couldn't find opponents. The Japan card's coming up. Maybe we'll see him soon.
Yeah, Josh is not going to fight in Japan. We know that for sure, only because of the timing, and you know, right now they don't have any heavyweights for Josh to fight. So our fight card with Fedor and Rampage and Chandler and Benson Henderson, and then the 3 fights with Ryzen versus Bellator, that's already a 5-fight card. It's going to be live on Paramount. It's going to be, I believe we're starting at 12 noon in Tokyo on the 28th. I'm sorry, the 29th, which would be the 28th here. Prime time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern on Paramount, and simulcast on DAZN. So that's going to go live, and they just didn't have anybody for him to fight. So we'll have something soon to announce, because I know we're almost finalizing something for Josh.
Daly has a big win tonight. He calls for a Bellator London.
That's okay.
And, you know, MVP would sit in front row tonight. Do you have any interest in that fight, running it back?
I mean, at some point, you know, I'm not sure that they need to fight each other right away, but at some point, you know, when it makes sense and it has something that means and puts something on the line, then yeah, I think they would go put that fight together.
I spoke with John Fish recently. He still believes he firmly beat Rory their first time when they fought. Is there a chance this could be Rory's next fight?
You know what? I haven't talked to John. He told me he was going to retire. So if he's not retired, we can have the conversation. But he did tell me that you know, unless he got the you know, the alternate slot and worked his way into this championship fight and the tournament finals, he was probably going to retire. So when I get back to San Jose, I'll reach out to him.
Speaking of retiring, I mean, since we saw Rory tonight kind of have a little bit of a rough night, there was talk not that long ago that everybody thought, oh geez, he's hinting at that he might want to retire. Did you ever get that kind of sense from him in the build-up to this, that if things didn't work out, that he might just walk away from it all?
I mean, not really. I mean, that's something you might want to ask him.
Yeah.
But I thought he fought a very smart tactical fight. Douglas Lima is not a guy you want to stand in the pocket and throw down with, because he has some heavy arsenal. And I think that Rory was just wanting to move and trying to figure out a way to avoid the big hits and then take him down, right? Push him against the cage and take him down. But That's from my opinion, but I'm sure Roy will come up here at some point, and you guys can ask him directly what the situation is. I think that he was a lot more focused in this fight than maybe the last fight or the fight before, and he's been here all week, and I haven't heard any dialogue about anything other than he wants to win this belt.
So, two-part question. First, rumors are that Bob Backus of CBS Viacom this year. I know you want to make Bellator bigger. Is there talk, maybe either tonight or maybe the next couple days, CBS hosting Bellator card 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say a couple of things. One, it's great to see Bob in the building. Bob is our CEO of Viacom CBS, and it's a very, very important role and carries, takes care of a very big company. And so for him to come out and watch the fights, he really had a great time. He enjoyed himself. As far as, the integration of how long and when and where, what the possibilities are, that's all premature because, until this thing is closed, it's basically business as usual, and they're probably going to wrap it up, from what I understand, in December or sometime in January, and then we can start having conversations with our partners, or our brothers at that point, and see where we can maybe increase the position here of this brand.
The second part is, now heard from Lindsey Vance and you and I, Kerry Melendez, all clamoring to get down weight division, to be a strawweight division. You are known for women's MMA. You're the one who brought it to the forefront, you developed it. Is there thoughts of maybe 2020 expanding where, not a title, but at least a semi-division from 115 to at least get these stars before we get stole by somebody else?
Yeah, you know what? I always said that, look, for Kerry Melendez, she came here, contracted to fight at 125. Hard for her to make that weight because she's just losing too much weight when she starts training. So, we'll put her in super fights. And same thing with Ava. We'll put her in super fights. Starting a whole division, I'm not sure. But, finding certain athletes that we want to promote, putting them in fights that matter, and giving them an opportunity to fight on a platform, I think that we will be in that business.
What are your thoughts on Syed Awad's performance tonight? Obviously, he took the fight on short notice, but he has lost 4 in a row against studs. Having said that, so do you still view him as a viable contender for the lightweight division?
I mean, don't look at him as a guy that just got knocked out by Paul Daly, because Paul is a killer. Paul is a dangerous fighter. You guys have seen what Paul Daly can do. I've watched it for so many years, and he's one of my favorite fighters of all time. But Saad took a very tough challenge here today, and listen, he could go back on a 3 or 4 fight win streak. You never know. But I think that he did the best he could. Paul did what he does, and that's it. But don't judge Saad just on today's performance. I would say look at his overall body of work, but he's got to turn it around here pretty soon. But we're not going to count this one as a strike because he gets a pass for this one.
Nick Newell lost the split decision tonight. How did you view that? Nick Newell lost the split decision tonight on his first fight of his multi-fight deal. How did you view that performance, and where do you think he goes from here?
I was just sitting and talking to MVP, watching that fight, and we were both saying, you know what? This guy is a special person, special martial artist. He's somebody that I really had a great time working with, and I look forward to seeing his next fight. I thought the fight was close. It didn't work out, and that's just how this business is, But he'll learn from it, he'll grow from it, and he'll continue on, and we'll get him back as soon as he can, because he's a special martial artist, and I'm gonna support him.
Scott, you were talking about talented women before bringing them in. You're known for bringing in talented boxers as well, Heather Hardy and Milton. Clarissa Shields announced on Twitter today that she's interested in MMA, or moving into MMA. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what weight class she fights, so maybe you guys can help me out here. But what weight does she fight? In boxing, what is that? 160. Well, then it's another situation where we really don't have a fight for her at 160, because the top of our weight class is 145. So if she wants to come down, maybe we could have her, compete. Or if some of the girls want to go up and fight, then, maybe we could fight her. But, to me, it's not something that, is on our core business, fighting at 160 pounds. But, you know, like I said, just like with Kerry, just like with Ava, if it makes sense and we put her in some super fights, let's do it. I'm not ashamed to do it. I'm not afraid to do that.
I guess one more.
Scott, you've had 2 days worth of fights. Is there one person who had a performance that you would say, like, stole the whole weekend? Or you were most impressed with?
You know, I do. And I was just talking about this too. Mike, on the way over here, I said, you know, I think Phil Davis looked unbelievable yesterday. The guy he fought was a killer. And Phil outclassed him, and I think that he did what he had to do to beat this guy. And when that first bell rang and that guy ran across and started throwing heavy bombs, I said, oh, this might be a long night for Phil. You know, young kid coming in from Sweden, has great experience and intention to hurt. And then Phil just picked him apart, started dismantling this kid systematically, and I thought that he had the best performance of the weekend. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Scott.